Video game films have gotten pretty good lately. The latest one I've watched is Dragonquest Your Story, which is this nice little film that came to Netflix in the past week or so. Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. We're gonna go on a quest. A Dragon Quest. So Dragonquest Your Story. I'm not gonna lie, this film had me in the first half. I didn't like the first half of this movie at all. So background. Dragonquest Your Story is this little film that came to Netflix just now, based off of the Dragon Quest franchise. I'm not sure if it's based off of any one specific story, or if it's just an adaptation of many different stories. But essentially, this is a CGI animated adventure following Luca, the main hero, or so the film wants us to believe for most of it. His mother is kidnapped as we open the film by this big monster. I can't remember his name. I'll probably put his name right about here or something like that. Long story short, Luca's mother's kidnapped. His dad's trying to get her back. But this big demon guy, I believe his name's Laja, basically the villain for most of this film. He wants to open this big portal that's essentially the portal from the first Avengers, that will bring in this, I don't know, alien or this demonic species to come in and claim the Dragon Quest Earth. I don't know if there is an Earth or what's it called. They don't really explain it that well, which is a theme of this movie, unfortunately. Especially in the first third to half of this movie, it's not that great. Things just kind of happen. They're not really explained. If you're a Dragon Quest fan, this probably is not an issue for you, but if you came in like me with no prior knowledge of the franchise, just completely blind, you're gonna have some issues. Be like, oh, well, why are they doing spells this way? Why is this that way? You know, at some point you just give up, unless you tune out. I'm not gonna lie, I almost tuned out to this movie, which is not a great thing. So here's a basic plot. As I said before, mother's kidnapped. Father tries to get him back. Oh no, father is killed by this crazy horse demon who is following our main villain, Laja, who honestly I was not impressed with. You know, as far as RPG villains go, and I've played a few RPGs in my time, Laja is just okay, you know? He has a fire attack, he has, I think, maybe a wind attack, he has a darkness attack. That's fine, you know? But honestly, I was getting the vibes that this guy was really just like, you know, a little boss you have, you know, in the first third of the game, but then as you progress, you see many others like him. You know, I never really got the feeling that he was the overall boss until, like, the end. And especially towards the halfway point of the movie, when he has there's some major defeats for the villain. It's going to be spoilers free for the most part, so I will not get into what those defeats were. But let's just say that this is not a film where the hero is just handed, you know, the victory after victory. You know, like, there are some major defeats and there are time jumps. And I think the most interesting about this Dragon Quest movie is the whole generational factor, which I find to be very interesting in RPGs. Particularly Fire Emblem has this going on. Legend of Zelda also has this to some capacity, especially because that plays with time. Time is also very prevalent in this movie. We start out with Luca, the son of you know, this ragged old hero. His name begins with a D. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. You know, who, you know, everybody like kind of regards him as a badass, although to be perfectly honest, we see him get killed by two kind of minor villains, who, spoilers, let's just say they're not as powerful later on, which is a common theme with RPGs, you know. But again, I kind of wish that his father didn't go out the way that he did. So most of the film, we follow Luca trying to find his way in the Dragonquest world. There are marriage mechanics, I guess, in this game. They try to implement the film not very well. There's a lot of characters who are there for like a scene, and then they're introduced in another scene, and like let's say like, oh, like I'm a bad guy. Ooh, I'm gonna try to rob you, and then maybe Luke will do something nice to him, and then maybe one scene later, or maybe a couple scenes later, maybe halfway in the film they'll show up and they'll be like, oh, you helped me out. You were nice to me that one time. I'm gonna help you out.
天空の剣と勇者を探したし、魔界の門を封じる。世界を暗黒に沈めるわけにはいかない。闇の支配から世界を救うため。
In fact, it's kind of disappointing how this is how a lot of the plot goes. For instance, after his dad's dead, he's in prison for like 10 years, and I don't get the sense that a lot of people were looking for him, because really he was just kind of up the river from main civilization, and it's like, oh, we thought you were dead. I'm like, really? He spends about 10 years with this guy named Prince Harry, no relation to the British monarch, and that's how our movie really opens. First scene of the real first act. The whole thing with his dad is more like the prelude, and they escape, and then you never see Prince Harry again until the end. And I'm like, okay, great. I thought that he was going to be kind of his rival or something, or one of his best friends, but no, we spend most of the movie with him and his romantic interests. He has a partner with this girl named Bianca. There's this plot about this magical sword that only opens up for like the true hero or something or other like that. Very common in RPGs. Surprisingly enough, Luca is not that magical hero who can open the sword. His son is, which I like that. There's a lot of failure in this movie. There are time jumps. Not only does Luca's father fail, he fails as well. He ends up getting turned into stone for like, I want to say at least 8 to 10 years. And so does his wife too. There's 2 time jumps, both from big failures, and that really adds a lot of impact to the film itself. There was just about no impact for the first, I want to say, third of this movie. Because, it was just like, oh, point A, plot point, plot point, plot point, plot point. This movie is like something like an hour and a half. It really should have been 2 hours long. There's so many things that feel like they were just cut out. There's so many characters that are only there for like a scene or two. And it's like, okay, the movie's like, this character was here in this spot for like a scene, and they're here, and another scene here. That's character development. It's not. We don't see the in-between. I can see an RPG getting away with this, because, especially the earlier ones where you had to really fill in the blanks, narratively speaking at least. I don't see that really working with the movie. It didn't work, in fact, for like at least the first half. It gets better though, because what you take is, the movie does not want to explain its world to you. It doesn't really want to explain its characters. There's not a lot of introducing characters in a way that makes sense. All the characters that Luca meets, it's like, oh, I knew you from childhood. I thought you were dead. Oh. And it's like, great. Like his main love interest, like his best friend, his best kid friend, and she's kind of like Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon, except it's very light. Like if Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon is your Bernie Sanders, Bianca in Dragonquest is like Elizabeth Warren, or even at times like a Pete Buttigieg, like really watered down, and not equivalent, but you could see kind of what direction they were trying to go in with that, and it ends up being fine, because we actually see her more. The other characters that are only there for like a scene or two, like there's characters here that are literally there for like just a couple scenes, and it's like, I understand with RPGs you have these big ensemble casts, but there's a way to do that in film, and they just didn't do that. However, part of that doesn't matter because of the direction they decide to take this film. By the end, because they kind of had those failures, I like that. Like I you know, if anything, if you have a film, maybe they'll have like a character like fail once, and then there'll be like a time jump of like 2 years, and then, you know, they'll have a beard or something, and, you know, be bitter, and then it's like, I'm gonna finish what I started. But here, it's like, wow, you know, his dad dies. Luca is in slavery for like at least 8-10 years. And then he fails. And then his son grows up without him for at least another 8-10 years. And then after all that fighting, you know, they finally beat the villain, or so they do, you know. I know I said this is supposed to be non-spoilers, but I guess I will put a spoiler section to this review at the end. I'll let you know about that. Because I feel like we have to talk about where this movie actually goes. You know? There's a lot of MacGuffins. It's like, oh, I have to get this magical sword, or I have to get this orb because I need to turn into a dragon to fly you to the bad guys, you know, palace. There's a lot of that, you know, could have been cut out. A lot of fat. You know? And it's all because they needed a big third act, you know, where we have all the characters that Luca meets on his journey. They come together, defeat the bad guy. Nothing wrong with that, you know? There's tension. I usually don't have tension in video game movies because they're all perfect. Oh, I'm the main character. I can kill anybody. Nothing's gonna ever happen to me. Well, you know, we saw Luca fail already, and we saw his father fail. You know, for all we know, he could die, his partner could die, his kid could die, you know? We've already seen the same villain, like, own him. And, you know, let's get to the ending, too, when, you know, spoilers. Now, this is going to be a light spoiler warning. Hey, the good guy wins, for the most part, you know? Good guy wins. I don't think that's big of a spoiler in your Dragonquest movie. You know, this isn't, you know, Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans, or Attack on Titan that just wants to crush your dreams to itty-bitty little pieces. You know, this is supposed to be a fun movie, intended for kids and fans of the Dragon Quest franchise. I think a child could get into this, sure. If you like Dragon Quest, you'll get into it, sure. If you're like just your average Joe, you're gonna really slog through the first half of this movie, and then, you know, after Luca fails, it gets interesting because it's like, okay, there's more at stake here. Reminds me a lot of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure franchise, where you have this generational struggle against this big bad. And I love that, you know? It's interesting. It's not just, oh, one bad guy versus one good guy. It's like, okay, we've been suffering for years under this guy. Let's finally end this, you know? Let's talk about art direction. Art direction's fine, you know? The designs, same guy who designed Dragon Ball Z, those character designs, they transitioned those very well. Because those designs, if you know, originally were, you know, 2D drawings. I mean, old days they were little pixel art, you know? And maybe you'd have a booklet with these beautifully illustrated 2D designs. And then when Dragon Quest went to 3D, they transferred there too. But, you know, it's more of this, you know, I don't know if you've seen any of the Dragon Ball Z video games, but kind of like that, you know. This, however, you know, this style is ultra detailed, kind of like that Astro Boy CGI movie they did a few years ago. I saw a lot of comparisons to them, but the actual textures looks good. The environments are absolutely gorgeous. They put some time and effort into this world, and it shows. Where it lacks, though, is kind of the animation, you know. This is clear, I mean, this was made for a Japanese audience first, and then an American audience second. There are delays, like the lips don't match up, you know, which honestly could be an easy fix, maybe not. Also, I don't know, the characters' textures, they're just too bouncy, you know, especially because they're trying to go for this serious feel, you know. I think when you have a film like this that has real consequences, you need to strike a balance between, yes, we have this cartoonish style, but you know, we want consequences. So we can't just be having characters bounce off on the walls. And there's some of that there, you know. There's an excuse for that, and we'll get towards that at the end. I don't want to spoil this movie because it does have twists that really did like shock me. It's like, okay, I did not expect this Dragon Quest movie to go here. I thought this was going to be like dime of dozens, but I will say this: it's called Your Story for a reason, and you know, first thing that pops in your head is probably, you know, what it is. Okay. Something on music. Music, I don't really have much to comment, you know. It has classic scores from the games, which is what you want in your video game movie. They're introduced pretty well, I think. Yeah, I don't have much complaints about the music. Acting. I have kind of a major issue with the dub acting. It's kind of like the Kid Icarus Uprising effect, where you have these like beautifully unique monster designs and character designs, but you know, you have the same voice actors that you've heard over and over and over again. The villain's really out of place, you know, for somebody as evil as he is. And I understand, like, he has this huge chin and he's cartoonish, you know, but the voice actor, the person they chose, I just couldn't take him seriously with that voice, and he's somebody you need to be taken seriously. But other than who they chose, I think the voice actors do, you know, standard job. That's just standard, you know. I took the main character seriously enough, which is what you want. I took his love interest, Bianca, seriously enough, but all the villains were just, you know, they're kind of like your mustache twirling Saturday night villains for the most part, you know, which is a shame because they did go for the main characters, the main three, which is, you know, the son, you, and then your love, and then Bianca. You know, there's a fair amount of development there. The issue is everybody else, it's just gone, you know. Let's get into pacing issues, and yeah, there's a lot of pacing issues with this film. First half goes by way too fast. We have the father figure to our main character. I mean, he's there probably for like maybe like 2/5 of the movie. That might be generous, more like 2/10, you know, like a fifth, if you will. We don't ever know him. You know, there are mechanics in which they go back to the past, but, you know, they really did not capitalize on what could have been a heartfelt moment, you know? Speaking of the time mechanics, you know, it's another big missed opportunity, but I mean, I guess we'll talk about that later. The last third of the film, though, beautifully executed. I have to give it that. Pacing is fantastic. It kind of, you know, it's kind of like your big last epic boss fight of a video game, and it really felt like that, and it capitalized off it when you have all these characters that we meet over the course of the film coming together to defeat the common enemy, who we've demonstrated is a threat and is alluded to as even more powerful than before, you know, when he kind of, you know, handed their asses on a plate, you know, like, yeah, I was into it, I dug it. And then the twist, let's just say it right here. All right, let's have a spoiler flash here, and then when we're done with spoilers, we'll have another one, I guess, and then, you know, I'll post in the description when spoilers are as well, and I will also post up here, you know, when it's safe to go. So the thing, they go full Sword Art Online on us. And if you don't know what Sword Art Online is, it's basically a whole anime centered around people playing a virtual reality game, and they're kind of stuck in the game. And the twist with this is Dragonquest, they get really, like, they break the fourth wall. They're like, oh, Dragonquest is a game. And so the main character, the main villain, I believe it's like Ninzo or something like that, you know, he's basically a villain. I guess you don't. He's like imprisoned, and I guess he's a villain that you're not supposed to reach. So there's no code for him, or you know, it wasn't very clear how the movie explained it. It alludes to also that, you know, hacker put code in there to kind of corrupt the game and whatnot. But basically, he completely deconstructs the game. Like they kind of sort of defeat their big villain, who is trying to open the gate, like we said before. And he opens the gate with his last dying breath, disintegrates, and yeah, time freezes, and yeah, he's basically just an amalgamation of pixels. And he's like, hey, you're in a video game. I'm a computer program, and I'm gonna screw shit up, and he does. He makes all the textures go back to like white. It's like gravity off, you know? And then he reveals, hey, our main character is just a player in the real world, and he's basically like in this virtual reality machine where he's gonna where he forgot temporarily that he was actually a real person. And then, you know, we kind of go down this route of, hey, nothing is real, it doesn't matter. It's like, no, it's real to me, because I spent all my childhood playing Dragonquest games, and you know, it could have been deeper, but I give it credit for going in that direction. I did not expect it, and it was kind of, you know, a relief, because first half of this movie, up until Luca fails and is like turned to stone, awfully generic. After that, you know, kind of refreshingly original, you know? So, yeah. Spoilers are over.
Dragonquest, your story.
Let's get into the final verdict then. So, first half, not very good. I'm not gonna lie. Not very good. Very hard for me to get into. In fact, yeah, I recorded myself watching this movie for sound bites, and I don't know. Let's play a little montage of me during the first half, just so you can see what I was going through there. Is this How to Train Your Dragon? But like the cheap version? You know, it's weird that we have a Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out this week. And we have a Dragon Quest movie. And out of the two, I'm fairly certain this is going to be the worst one. This is very boring.
Thank you so very much. You defeated Khan and Slon without even trying.
What the hell is that?
Oh no! Whatever shall I do?
Ah, your lips. The words don't match your lips. At some point in the second half, I just stopped recording because I wasn't really cracking jokes or making fun of the movie for being so absurd, because I was invested in it, you know, wanting to see where it goes. And I think if you can shut me up, mark of a great film, everybody. So first half, I mean, I give it like a 3 or 4 out of 10. Second half, though, see, that's around the realm of an 8 out of 10. Combined together, boom, I guess that gives us a 6 out of 10 for this film. So yeah, that was my first film review in a while. I'm going to try to do this more regularly. I set a goal for myself to do one of these a month for the whole year. And yeah, I guess the reason why I haven't been keeping up is because, I don't know, a couple of years, like 2018, I found out that, hey, making videos is really hard to do. And I got so caught up in the production aspects of it that it led to doing nothing. So going a little low tech for these, focusing right on the commentary. And, you know, I guess later on we can go into production values and learn more. You know, we're going to deal with my shadow here for a while. Eventually we'll get that to go away. But yeah, thanks for the 2 people who have subscribed so far. I hope that more people subscribe. And I guess we're just going to see where this thing goes. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time. InReview out.